Hello friends, welcome back to the Photoshop Basics for Scrapbooking class. After last week's lesson where we learned about the difference between PNG style digital stamps and brush style digital stamps, today we're going to go further in depth into the PNG files, how to use those PNG stamps on photos, on blank canvases, and some of the different edits and or adjustments that we can make to those files in order to customize them for our needs. Today, our lesson is not going to include recoloring those stamps because I'm going to do an entire lesson about that in a couple weeks from now. So this is going to be more about resizing, moving, turning, all of that kind of stuff. So without further delay, let's head over to the computer so I can show you how you can use PNG style digital stamps in your scrapbooking projects. So today we're going to be talking about PNG files and adding PNG stamp files onto photos or new canvases. So to teach you this, I'm first going to open up a photo in both Photoshop Creative Cloud and Photoshop Elements. I have chosen this photo here, which is unedited. It's just one from my stash, but because it has a lot of sky space here, I thought that it would be a good photo for adding a big, bold stamp title to. You'll be able to see it very clearly, or there's a lot of space here on the cement ground where, same, you would probably be able to see a stamp pretty well in this space down at the bottom. So a lot of times when I am adding stamps onto my photos, that's something I generally keep in mind is there a lot of space in the sky, on the ground, kind of fuzzed out, where I can add a stamp to it and it's not going to detract or cover up anything important in my photo. And it also is going to be able to be seen when you look at the photo. Those are two questions I ask as I am trying to decide whether or not to add stamps to a photo. Okay, so inside of the Photoshop Creative Cloud, let's start here. So I've got my photo opened up. Next, I'm going to open up a stamp that I wish to add onto my canvas here. And I might actually want a title and not one of those speech bubbles. Let's go grab let's go to my digital stamps here and let's just grab some kind of sentiment, like maybe here for the photos. That could be fun. So let's open up here for the photos. And what I did here, so a couple of different things that you can do. So you can file open, and let's go back to that same file there. Where was that at? Nope. It was inside of this and PNG and here for the photos. Okay, so here is the PNG opened as its own separate file. What happened when I added it onto the photo is it actually added it to this page as a separate file, as though I had copied and pasted it over, which is actually kind of cool. It skips the whole step of needing to open this up and then selecting all of it, copying it, and then pasting it onto the photo here, right? You can also just simply add it from your files. Now I already deleted that. So now that I have this copied from the original file and pasted onto my photo, it adds it right on top, but it is a separate layer. So I can turn the layer off and on in order to see it or not see it. I can add it into the sky, and that's what I mean when I said you would be able to very easily see the stamp set. But let's say I wanted this to be bigger. With my layer, the stamp layer selected, I am going to transform this, so Control T. You can also go to Edit and Free Transform, right? But basically it's Control or Command T. And this is going to give me the guides around the outside along with the boxes that I can use to drag this and make it bigger, as big as I want it to be. When I hit enter on my computer, it's going to bring everything into focus and my stamp is now super big at the top. From the free transform Control T, you can also turn the sentiment sideways. So I might have wanted to put it on an angle, make it not as big, and then I could have put it maybe in the sidewalk here. You know, and that could have been a fun way to add a stamp onto my photo. That would have worked too. You can also, once you have your stamp the way you like it, you can also copy it and paste it to create more that look exactly the same. This is something that I will often do when I'm creating a canvas that I want to make into a pattern, right? So this could become a pattern. This is actually a really good sentiment for this one. A repeat pattern on your canvas. Okay, so that is a really fun way to use your stamps like this. You can also do the same thing on a blank canvas. So let's open up a new blank canvas. Let's make it 8.5 by 11, sure. And then, okay, first let's go ahead and copy this one just so that it's all the same, right? We'll copy it, we'll paste it, here it is on my canvas. We can free transform Control T in order to decrease the size, increase the size, or angle it if we wish. When you hit enter, it'll bring it into focus. Or you could also create that same type of repeat pattern. So I'm just going to select all of those that I already did, copy them, and paste them onto the page here, just so you can see what that looks like on the white, which is so cool. Isn't that cool? I think that looks really cool. But a really fun way to create your own patterns if you want to create something that looks really bold and graphic on your page. Just fun ways to use your digital stamps. Really, it's super easy with PNGs. This is why I typically prefer a PNG over a brush stamp, is because they're really, really easy to manipulate and to get onto your different canvases, especially because each stamp set is its own individual layer, and that makes it easy to move things around exactly where I want them to go on my canvas that I'm working on. So let's do the same thing inside of elements, just so you can see any differences there, which I don't think there's going to be any differences. So first, let's go ahead and open the same sentiment that we had. So let's go into the digital stamps. We need this one, PNG, and here for the photos. So here's that same sentiment. Here I'm going to Control A to select all, Control C to copy. We're going to go back over to our photo and Control V for paste. So again, it adds it directly into the middle of our photo at the same size that it was as its original file. Now I can move this wherever I want it to go. With elements, it already has the little boxes around the outside, so I don't need to transform it. However, if you are not seeing the boxes around the element, down in your select tools, you just want to make sure that you have the bounding box checked, and that is going to bring those little functions up for you. So then I can go ahead and increase the size however big I want it to be. Sure, yay. When we hit enter, it comes into focus. And then for this one, there's a little tiny circle in the bottom of the file. If you hover over that, it's going to give you the turning, the angling, which allows you to click, hold, and then you can move back and forth in order to angle the stamp if you want to. One big difference between Photoshop Elements and Photoshop Creative Cloud is in Creative Cloud, when I transform, if I just click on the middle here, actually let's bring it back up so I can show you. In Photoshop Elements, if you click on the middle and then you try to adjust from the middle or from the middle of the top, you'll see that it squishes and warps your letters in here. If you want this to maintain some semblance of being even, you can come down to the bottom and check the constrain proportions checkbox, and it will bring it to the right dimensions or the right scale based on what the original file was. So that is an option. So like I can constrain proportions and it will bring it down to its original scale for me without it being warped. So you can do that. It's just a little bit different functionality wise in terms of how you are resizing the individual file on top of your photo. So one difference between Elements and Creative Cloud. All right, so let's open up a new or create a new canvas really quick. Oh, of course, I need to hit the check mark. Yes. Okay, so now let's open up a new blank file. Sure. And then we can add the same thing. So we've got, Control A for select all, Control C for copy, and Control V for paste. It's going to add the file into this little box that I made. We can adjust the sizing of it, and when we hit enter, everything comes into focus. So just a simple way to add stamps onto photos or a blank canvas, whatever you so choose. All right, so pretty easy this week. For your homework, I would love for you to find a photo. So look through some of your photos for one that has a lot of white space, quote unquote, so just kind of empty blank space where you could add a stamp that would have an impact, that would be visible without covering up anything important. Then I would love for you to open up some of your digital stamp sets, find one that you can add onto your photo, and play around with adding the stamp to your photo. Add it and then try resizing it to make it bigger, resize it to make it smaller, and turn it on an angle. You can, if you're feeling adventurous, you can try to create a repeated pattern on a blank canvas and see if you can manipulate the digital files, the PNG files, in order to get them into some kind of cool graphic looking card or paper or whatever it is, whatever you choose to do. Next week, I'm going to come back and talk to you about using brushes and some of the different ways or some of the different techniques that you might want to use a brush for versus a PNG. So that will be next week. And then the last lesson that we're going to do in the stamps theme is going to be talking about changing the colors of your stamp set. So a couple different ways that you can change colors and have fun with your stamps that way as well. Until next week, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye, friends.